Hey, Nick.
Hey, Chase.
It's that time again.
What time is it?
Time for
Fuck This Place!
So excited to meet you guys. Hear everything, whatever this is about. I'm just so excited. Jasmine just spoke so highly about both of you and this amazing podcast.
Yes.
Well, Jasmine's right. I can tell you that.
No, Jasmine ruled too. So
Jasmine
she was
ruled.
such a great guest.
Yeah.
Jasmine is amazing. She's like my
she's
little
awesome.
sister. So
Yeah.
Nick was in the Whole Food trenches with Jasmine for a little
Yeah,
bit.
that's where I met Jasmine, was in Whole Foods. And she
oh, no way.
Yeah. She was a tough cookie back then, and then she started making money making cookies. So I'm glad she found her way, because that place sucked. That place was balls.
Oh, man.
Well, we should probably introduce the podcast. Welcome to Fuck This Place, the podcast about jobs with Chase and Nick. My name is Chase.
My name is Nick, and with us today, another fantastic guest. Like some jobs, we got this guest via recommendation. As we just established, Jasmine Ortiz highly recommended this guest. She's a singer-songwriter and a host. She has her album Sonando en Color, or Dreaming in Color, came out in 2019. You can also check out several great singles since then, including Mariposas, which I personally really like.
Okay.
She's everywhere, and she's with us today, Stefni Valencia. Stefni, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Super pumped.
Yeah. Thank you for being here again. I'm sorry again for the trouble.
Absolutely. Well, since we're getting going, I say let's just go straight into our first segment that we do, actually, Stefni, on every podcast. It's a segment we call Fuck This Place ? Where we decide if we would work somewhere or not. You're originally from the San Fernando Valley area. Is that correct?
Yes, I am.
Great. So we have pulled up 3 Craigslist posts, all San Fernando Valley adjacent or within. I'm not going to say they're all Van Nuys, but there's definitely one. And so I feel like Van Nuys is the cultural center, of the San Fernando Valley. But I also can't say that for a fact. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the title to 3 of the posts. And just like you're browsing Craigslist, one of them you're going to say fuck this place automatically. Like, I do not even want to click. I want to know nothing about this. The other 2 we're going to take a quick look at and decide if it would work there or not. Does that make sense?
If we would work there, or we've worked there.
If we would, not if we have. That would be incredible.
Okay.
That would be such a dice roll every episode. Hey, have you been to the Jamba Juice Topanga Shopping Center? Hey, how about that Foot Locker over in Glendale Galleria? I know it's not San Fernando Valley, but anyway, so it's a sort of like, if you're browsing Craigslist, is there a version of yourself that could possibly say yes to the utter chaos that is Craigslist? That's essentially the question we're posing. Okay. So just for your consideration, title number 1 of 3 is looking for hippie female for photo shoot. Okay. Title number 2, rabbit rescue attendant. And title number 3, bug wrangler. So which of the 3 is an automatic, like, no, I'm not clicking on this? The hippie female photo shoot, the rabbit rescue, or the bug wrangler?
Funny is, I have said yes to probably 2 out of 3 of those.
Okay.
So I will say the one I would probably click on yes to would probably be that's hard. Between 1 and 2, I'll say 1.
The female photo shoot, because that's a yes. Now we have to pick one we're going to look at one more. So which would another one that you would click on, the rabbit rescue or the bug wrangler?
The bunny rescue for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, cool. I agree. If you're going to work with animals, I prefer they be at least palm sized.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer furry over
a little fluff.
Anything with a stinger feels weird.
It feels aggressive.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's take a quick look then at post number 1, which is looking for hippie female for photo shoot, and this is in Van Nuys, supposedly right by the airport. Don't know what that means, really, but there's no pictures. The text just begins, and it reads, "Hi, I'm seeking a hippie female with hair look that is hippie." Okay, I think you understand the hippie vibe. Hair look that is hippie, and clothing she wears represent hippie. Female who is living hippie lifestyle for a photo shoot for my portfolio, age 18 and up. If you are hippie and have no experience modeling, totally fine. I have some outfit and you can bring yours. Please apply with your most recent photo. and your measurement. And the compensation is $80. And that's the post.
This person talks like they were falling down a hill while they were writing this.
It's just so many commas. I think they did this on their phone.
I think so.
Where you can't really, or voice to text. Well, not even that, because there's like the misprint of please and all these commas. The eyes aren't capitalized. Yeah, no, definitely was done on their phone.
They're probably on a photo shoot with another hippie female. They're like, this female's not hippie enough.
Yeah. Or this hippie's walking out on them, and they're just like, I don't need you. Watch this. Hi, I'm thinking of.
That's true. And they just type it real fast. Yeah, no, there's a heavy haste here that I don't feel safe with. And again, the repetition of hippie, you couldn't think of one synonym, not even like earthy or granola. Boho.
Anything in that respect, or even giving a guidance as to owns any of like these clothing styles, or they should have given you an inspiration board.
I would agree, because again, if it's a photo shoot of people who are shooting people regularly, surely you know what clothes are. You could say H&M over ModCloth or Anthropology or whatever. They could pick. They could say anything we've just said, and we would be much further down the line.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I don't qualify. I'm not a female nor a hippie, but
you don't have hippie hair.
I don't currently have hippie hair. I once had longer hair, and I do think the beard, if you put me in a deep, one of those like V-necks that's sort of like Indian inspired with like the frills, I feel like you'd be like, he's all right. He could do it. But either way, there's, separate from your strange syntax and your lack of thesaurus, you haven't told us as much about you.
Yeah,
you are a photographer. Yeah, it's fine. I own an iPhone too.
And also what is this for? And
it's for their portfolio. It says for their portfolio. So true. In the end, and I will say this because I've definitely have done photo shoots where I've responded to these ads. Like I have been that person. Because one thing, when you're in the entertainment industry, you definitely feel like a prostitute, where you're like, I need, what can I do? And so definitely when it comes to photos, you're like, I need professional pictures, and who's willing to take my picture? That's fair. A lot of times, in this case, $80
and you're good to go.
You get $80, which most of the time professional photographers, they end up doing exchange, where it's like, I'll take your picture for free, when normally I charge $200-300, and it's to add to my website or my portfolio, and you get my service for free.
Right.
And so that's usually more common than them compensating a model. So
you're telling me $80 ain't so bad.
Ain't so bad comparison, but it's always one of those things. You always have to be a female. Being a female, you have to be able to decipher, am I safe?
That's right. That's right.
That's the number one thing. You want this person to either send you their website, send you their portfolio, or meet with this person first, make sure they're legit.
Ooh, a meet and greet pre-photo.
Pre-photo. I've done that with a really well-known photographer. We met up at a coffee bean. It was a female, and she was doing an entire series, and I was one of the models she wanted to work with, and she met up with me to show me hey, this is what I'm working with. This is the, that kind of a thing.
This is the deal.
This is the deal. Please respond. I don't know. This feels but this one feels a little closer to the chest. A little unprofessional.
Yeah. Okay. Stephanie, let me ask you real quick, Stephanie, because we play on this show kind of based around the kind of the outline you've given. We play a game on this show occasionally called Dumb or Murderer, and it was based on we were for a long time. It was because of the things you were saying. It's usually dudes looking for women for whatever reason. So we would always typically like to ask the women how they felt using their spidey sense for this sort of thing. So let me ask you real quick, just shooting from the hip, dumb or murderer on this guy?
I would say dumb, because you don't know if it's a male or a female. So that's the first thing I'd want to find out. So I would just start with I would start with dumb to be able to see if it's a murder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Start dumb, kind of ease into the pool, so to speak. You don't have to dive into the deep end, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then quickly realize you can just walk out, you know, if you need to.
Exactly.
I'm gonna say no. You know, I think all this information. I'm in the no camp because again, you should at least tell me anything about you.
Right.
Your favorite color. You don't have to be on topic. You know, my name is Chaz. You know, so that we've got something on you. I have an address.
I'm out as well, just because of this person's how often they're using the word hippie. He uses hippie like in the way like 60s Batman used the word bat, like make a bat left, whatever, throw a bat, or like everything's like a bat. He's just like, can you do your hippie hair with a hippie turn here and a hippie dress? And it would just irritate the shit out of me to be around someone like that. So I'm out.
All right, Stefni, you said dumb.
I would say dumb. It's just dumb.
Okay.
But a lot of times
And
I
you're
think,
out.
and I'm out. With a lot of times with my wisdom, I have learned what's worth my time. Your time is valuable and you have to value yourself and what you bring to the table.
Yeah, even at $80, you still got to drive over there, you know, and that's no good. And then you got to shake off whatever weird looks whoever this person was giving you at the initial coffee meeting. And you probably even had to buy your own green tea. So fuck that. Okay. Cause it's midday. You don't want to go too heavy on the caffeine. Okay. You're not going to meet this person in the morning. Sorry. I'm spiraling. Okay. Post number 2. Title is Rabbit Rescue Attendant. This is North Hollywood. And the post begins, there's no pictures or anything, which honestly, I was kind of hoping for a picture of a bunny. That would have been nice. And it says Rabbit Rescue Attendant. And it says cold. And honestly, it feels like there should have been some text here, you know, because it just jumps right straight into duties include general cleaning, transporting laundry to the laundromat, customer service, medicating, grooming and feeding rabbits, stocking shelves, answering telephones, returning emails, scheduling grooming and boarding appointments, a little bit of everything. Yeah. Do you mean to do your taxes? Part-time, approximately 10 hours per week. All preliminary interviews will be conducted via Zoom. So, you know, you don't have to waste time on the coffee. Compensation, minimum wage. They don't even tell you what minimum wage is. They're like, legally, it's the bottom. Employment type is part-time. And then again, they reiterate the title is Rabbit Rescue Attendant. That's it.
Mm-hmm. This all sounds like the least fun parts of hanging out with the rabbit, though, right?
I agree.
Like, there's there's not even like a little note at the end that goes like, and we have a good time hanging out with the rabbits. You know, it just sounds like I'm just lugging a bunch of like rabbit shit covered laundry to the hat down, you know, getting no time with the actual like bunnies.
Yeah.
And I think the one where it's like answering phone calls, you're basically a receptionist at this point. You're a receptionist where it says like going to the laundromat.
Yeah.
Why? Why do I need to go to the laundromat? I'm sorry. Like,
yes.
How is that important or pertinent to any of this?
Because like, I know, you know, I've been around some rabbits and I know they shit wherever they want. I get it. But I also know that rabbits mostly live in cages.
Yeah.
You know, and that if they're out of a cage, somebody said it was okay for them to be out of a cage, you know, by accident or on purpose, somebody permitted that rabbit to roam freely. So my concern, I have a vivid picture here that it's just basically one person who's like the quote unquote store owner. Really, they're just a psychopath who just has like a storefront that's just full of loose running rabbits, you know? And they like, I worked this one place. This guy had, it was a tour company, like it's not related, but he had birds and he let the birds out and the birds would sit on his shoulder and stuff. But the thing about birds, just like rabbits, they shit all the time. So they just shit on his shirt, you know? And I'm just imagining you're hanging out with Birdman Rabbit Boy and you're doing their laundry. Like, oh, the rabbit shit on my pants, you know, because he was sitting on my lap again. You know, can you take my pants off for me and run over to like, I just think that it's going to be, it's full on whatever this person wants from you. For only
which is everything. I feel like it'd be one thing if it's like we need a receptionist for a rabbit rescue and all you have to do is answer the phones and answer emails and that's it. But it's asking you to kind of be an assistant, a manager, groundskeeper, janitor. It's every
incoming
title
sales.
under the,
Yeah.
right. Bring bunnies. Like, the last thing they want is like find adoption
and
for the
medicating bunnies. They want you to be a vet. Well, here's my question. And what rabbits need rescuing? Like I know
a lot.
They do. Like people breed them a lot.
No, what happens is you get a lot of people that buy a bunny because they think it's a good idea, and then they realize it's more work than it's worth. Or they buy bunnies for their kids for Easter. There's like this huge, because I have friends that have fostered rabbits.
Bunnies. Okay, yeah.
And it's because there's so many people that buy a bunny thinking, oh, it's going to be really cute and it's going to stay really small. It's like a pig. It keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then they're like, oh, it's like wanting
then it
a baby,
starts like shoving you around the house.
Yeah.
It says, this is my bathroom.
Yeah.
It's more responsibility than they signed up for.
Yeah. Man, that's a bummer. We got like a leaky rabbit pipeline, where it's just like, oh, Easter sounds like a good time to get a rabbit. Yeah. And then by like summer, as soon as school's out, they're like, no, I'm not taking care of this fucking rabbit. Yeah. And then there's a rabbit rescue. Wow. A real look into the rabbit world.
You have to love bunnies, or be a person that's definitely an advocate for like don't buy bunnies. To want to do this, because it's going to be more reward if you're a passionate person and you love animals, right, than it is if you're a person that's like, I'm really just trying to pay my bills. Like
no, I definitely agree. Like, because rabbits they can't like smile, They really can't. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it doesn't appear that they can show a lot of affection. I guess
like they move their nose. They can move their nose a little bit, right? I think.
I don't know. I had a friend who had a roommate that had a rabbit, and I fucking hated it. So, and again, I believe that rabbit deserved to be rescued if that person gave up that rabbit. I'm just saying, I don't want to be around it.
Exactly. This is way more work than they're for minimum wage.
Yeah.
And
again,
I would imagine
they're going to leave you alone. I bet you this person's going to leave you alone. They're going to be like, I gotta go. And then you're alone with just not even a store, just sort of you're in the cage with the rabbits, like it's just rabbits raining from the rafters. It doesn't seem good.
Yeah. I would also be afraid of like just doing all this stuff, like, then you got to worry if one gets outside and there's like a hawk, or like a big cat or something, like they're also just animals that get easily killed by other animals,
Other animals and objects, cars for sure.
Well, you run like a dog rescue. Most of those dogs aren't going to get picked up by like a bird and then taken away. It's like, and then it happens behind your back and you don't know. You're looking in the sky to see if maybe you see it being carried, so you have something to say. I don't know. I don't know. It feels like you could just lose a rabbit. Like a rabbit could get into some kind of a piping, and you just think it was like an old rag or whatever in there, you wouldn't even know. So
you're right.
I'm out. I feel like I'd lose a lot of rabbits.
Keep going out for smoke breaks, I don't lock the door.
It's part-time. You don't get a smoke break.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
It's only 10 hours a week. That's it. So they're gonna do 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, of you just chilling, doing all this work. And it's probably, you need to do all of this probably in that 2 hour span.
I agree. Yeah. I just, this is too many things to do in any time, for one human. A little bit of everything just seems like a lot of everything. I don't think it seems like a little bit in any way. Just like the rabbits, they're not little. They get bigger. They get bigger and bigger. So, exactly. No. I do respect the Zoom interview. That's the only thing I respect. But you could tell in that Zoom interview, if there's a rabbit on that person, you're doomed.
It's definitely for the philanthropic at heart. Like if you're a person that wants to work at a rescue for dogs, like an animal shelter. It takes that special person who loves it. But again, if you're talking about in the industry, they don't love this. This is not something that they're passionate about. So only sign up for this. Only respond to this Craigslist ad if that's something you're passionate about.
And I appreciate your generosity here, Stefni. I'm a little concerned that this isn't a legitimate operation in the sense that like a dog rescue is like, we are the Humane Society of North San Fernando Valley. You know what I mean? Like this person hasn't said anything about who they are. Like we don't even know if this is a storefront or someone's house.
Right.
It probably is someone's house.
You know, or garage, you know, best
or
case
a
scenario.
vet.
Or
Maybe
a
it's
vet.
a vet. I don't know. It's so vague.
We got nothing. That's why I'm saying,
We
again,
got nothing.
you're right. Every bullet point you listed is correct. I'm just saying those are all correct, provided that the Zoom interview indicates that there is an office with a door that locks, you know, instead of a living room covered in rabbit piss.
Does it have a bathroom?
Mhm.
Yes. So, so I'm gonna say no for all of the reasons listed above.
Yeah, I'm out too.
All right, fuck that place. Heyo, what's up, everybody?
What's going on, guys?
Hey, did you know that you can text this podcast? The number is 470-223-5627. That's 470-223-5627. We take your side, by the way. That's an automatic position. If you text us, we're on your side.
Yeah, I don't give a damn about your boss. You think I'm going to protect that guy? I hate that guy.
No.
I hate that guy. I got your back. We got your back here.
Absolutely. If we're like this is like a weirdo, like sleazy lawyer commercial. I mean, we're on your side to a point, you know.
Mm-hmm. I'm wearing a goofy suit right now.
I'm wearing a brown tie. Couldn't tell you why. If you need to talk shit about something, like we're your shit talking team. All you gotta do is text 470-223-5627. That's 470-223-5627. We're on your side.
Stephanie, what's the first job you ever had?
The first job I ever had, I worked as kind of a coach for a boxing gym.
Whoa.
All right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How'd you get into that?
I was in charge of conditioning for the little kids. I was a student that was boxing. And that's how I've gotten a lot of jobs. I was currently a student, or I was there and they decided, hey, want the job. And so the owner of the place offered me a job for conditioning for the younger kids, which was a lot of fun. It was all little boys. And so I got to, work them, and it was a very different mentality. So I kind of had to learn to be ruthless, not to get picked on and whatnot. So that was awesome. It was a lot of fun. But I have learned,
you're like
conditioning. It's doing like drill sergeant kind of attitude, I guess.
Yeah.
Sure. So you have to you're like beating up these little boys or whatever to get out of line, like letting them know, setting them straight.
Yeah, no, I was not. No, I did not beat up little boys. I definitely would get in the ring. I know, bummer. I definitely got in the ring with a couple of them, but it was conditioning. It was just like getting them started, getting them warmed up.
Okay.
Getting them prepared for the class that was about to happen. And so it was a lot of fun. The only crappy part was having to clean up afterwards for them because little boys, they all sweat. So when you have a class of like about 20 and it's just dripping and a lot of little kids are already like going through puberty and they don't know deodorant yet. So they just stink. So that was just the hardest part, was having to mop up the mats that we did have and the ring afterwards. But other than that, I mean, it was a blast. I loved it. It was a lot of fun, especially because I always tell people, I'm like, I love being the boogeyman, where it's like, I'm a ruthless person, like a little mini, like I'm a mystery walking around. I love that. I love not necessarily the intimidation, but I feel I love where it's like, is she mean or not? That questionable thing.
Is she mean or not? Is she just real good at punching?
Yeah.
Sure. I'm definitely not a bully. I'm the friend of the friendless. But I do love that, where people aren't sure how to approach me. I'm like, it just makes me mysterious, and I own it.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
And so you said you had to learn how to not get pushed around by them. Is that what you said?
You get respect. It's kind of with anything because after that, it's really funny. I've worked with a lot of programs with kids, which is funny. I'm not like the friendliest person. I am friendly, but I'm not one that's very like, let's play, you know, definitely not, unless I'm being hired for that, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that I got a lot of opportunities of working with young people. When you're dealing with junior high to high school, you have to, especially with boys, you have to learn on be respected, not be flirted with, not be, not be talked back to.
Yeah.
So it's like being on the prison yard kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. You got to come in. You got to come in strong.
Yeah,
exactly.
Especially by smelly little boys. Get out of here with that.
Yeah. You know? I was going to say the hardest thing for sure is like, yeah, I understand like kind of finding that balance, but I would say that the second hardest thing has got to be finding that balance without telling them that they smell to their face. You know, like someone's like talks back to you like, well, oh yeah, well you smell bad.
Yeah.
Well, it's that balance of I'm tough, respect me and trust me. But at the same time, it's like without bringing them down, without killing their self-esteem. Because it's definitely. Like you want them to be confident and you want them to trust you. But at the same time, it's like, I'm not going to break your spirit. Even though there were some little brats that you were like, oh, like, let me just meet you outside. Like you definitely wanted to just like, let me show you who's boss. But you have to have that balance of that demeanor of I'm tough, don't mess with me, trust me, listen to me. But at the same time, don't fuck with me.
Yeah, no. I appreciate the hell out of that. I'm not a big fan of kids, period. Like, I mean, I like the kids that are in my life. Like, I love my best friend's kids, you know, like the ones that are but other than that,
automatically the kids do not get a pass.
Get away from me. I don't want to talk to you. Your shirt's dumb. I'm not into it. You know, I don't want a part of it. You know,
your can't imagine. Dumb.
Whatever it is, it's dumb.
Because I'll fight you right at your level. I'll devolve to where I'm also 12 now, and then we're just slinging mud at each other or whatever. You know,
it's so funny because I'm always mesmerized by little kids because they can just be entertain themselves with nonsense and you see their imagination. I'm always just like enchanted. I'm like, really? Like that's how your brain is working right now. But it's so funny. I'm very similar to Nick where I'm that aunt. I have all my aunts were all really tough with me where it was like, there will be no crying. I will leave you here kind of mentality. And they're like my favorite aunts. They're like my favorite ones. And I became that aunt. And I remember taking my niece with me, my friend's daughter, and I said, hey, I'll take her. And she was like, you've never babysat. I'm like, no, I've never babysat, but I got her. She's at that age. She understands who's boss.
She likes bars,
so
right?
I took her, right? I'm like, she'll be fine. So like I took her with me, you know, and so I took her with me and I had to like think about it. I'm like, I cannot have this kid run off on me. And I showed her 2 quarters and I like looked on my phone to see if there was a payphone anywhere. And I found one on the map at the mall. And I was like, all right, here are the rules. I was like, Thea is really cool. I'm really cool. I'm a blast to hang out with. You behave with me, we'll get ice cream. I was like, you don't behave with me, I will leave you here with these 2 quarters and I will write your mommy's number down on your arm and she can come get you. And she was like, I was like, I will leave you here. And she was like, okay. And stuck to me like glue. And then she was like, Thea, can we go back to the mall? Like had the best time with me because she knew it's like, oh, Thea's cool. There's just no funny business. And
you gave her like the bowling lane, you know.
Yeah. And I was definitely, I was like, my boxing attitude came back into play. It was like,
So you're regularly like just giving the speech where you got him by like the collar and you're like holding her up against the wall, like shaking her real hard. Like, I will leave you here and I will give you these quarters. And I'll tell you, you either call your mom or they're putting them over your dead eyes. Like the river Styx, right?
You know, the kids love me. I will say that, but I'm definitely.
How could they not?
I don't talk down to them. I kind of talk to them at eye level. Like I'll squat down, and I'm like, okay, listen clearly. Like I'm that person, and then they're like, yeah, I'm hanging out with Steph. It's like, okay,
it sounds like they feel like they're in a gang after they hang out with you.
Maybe I could
definitely
be. I'm the
in on
leader.
something.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely the godfather of the mob family, so it becomes that.
Every kid that hangs out with you after they're like, then they own a leather jacket automatically.
Yeah. I think
it's,
any kid hangs out with me, you get a leather jacket. I like that. I'm owning that from here on out.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of like the really defining the lanes there of just sort of like, this can go really well, like we could do the ice cream sprinkles maybe in your future, or you see that fucking train over there, you're gonna hop that train, you're gonna take it right back to the rail yards, and you will never see any of us again. You're gonna live on the trains forever. Just really go for it.
I'm that tough love for sure. Like when it comes to little kids around me that I love and I know I'm going to see them again, they know they can hang out with me, but there are rules. Like I played Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers when I was a kid, so let's set the rules straight.
Yeah.
So then
rules straight, funny costumes, and I'll beat the shit out of you. Okay. Those are two things I'm about.
So just to clarify the way the class was structured, you were like maybe like a cardio or some kind of like conditioning thing where they just like, they're supposed to do like a bunch of push-ups and stuff, or like sprints or whatever. And then they just run and then they start beating each other up.
Kind of, it was more of, we wanted to teach them respect of each other. Cause the one thing with boxing, it's a gentleman's sport. Hence why they touch gloves in the beginning. So it was all about respecting each other, rooting for each other, even though, treating them like they're in your corner. And so we would do it where it's like, if one of you stops, we're starting over.
It's a team building.
So it's a team building situation. So I would do that all the time with them where it's like, okay, we're going to do push-ups. Like everybody's doing push-ups. You give up now, everybody starts over. So it was everyone encouraging, everyone's like, come on, don't stop. And we would, was telling them, it's like, no, encourage him. Like if he's struggling, you don't turn on him. You become enemy number one, really. It's not the one poor kid who's struggling to do a push-up.
It's
the person it's the person that's demanding and commanding everyone to do push-ups, basically.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Nice.
How long did you do that? Nice. And how old were you again?
I was in high school when I did that. And I did that probably for like 3 years, maybe 2.5, 2.5, 3 years. It was a blast. It was so much fun. But it's really funny because it opened up a lot of doors for me where I ended up getting odd jobs after that because of that, which was kind of odd.
Because of the people you met there, or?
Yeah, the people I met there. And then being an entertainer, it was one of those things that somebody would be like, oh, hey, Steph, I heard that they need this. You'd be great. And I was like, oh, okay. And especially being bilingual in the Valley, it's key. So it ended up opening up some doors to me where then people knew it's like, oh, Steph also sings. We should hook her up with so-and-so. So they'd give her a gig. Or Steph also does this. She'd be great for it. So it became really awesome as far as the networking circle is concerned.
I think people I think that people can underestimate how like impactful that is to like have like a gym or a community like that, where it's almost like it's like an accidental meetup machine, where you just like, you become known as a known entity in this group. And like, as your needs become apparent and your needs sort of float throughout the group, then people can be like, I wonder if I can help that person with that thing. Like whatever it is, even if it's not career stuff, it's like childcare or, whatever, like you never know.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing, like your personality says a lot. Like I have no problem networking and whatnot. And like one of my best friends I met was my Starbucks barista. Like no lie, was the person I saw every morning at Starbucks. I just happened to be the nice person talking to him every day. And I was like, hey, how's it going? Going in, not like a decaffeinated psycho, and treating him like a human being, became my best friend. And he would tell me that he had customers that were really cool and started wanting to scout him for jobs, where I was even getting scouted because there was somebody like, hey, are you looking for a job? Just because they saw me chit-chatting with him. So you almost have to look at it, especially in this industry or this life. You never know who's looking at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just be you and do it.
Yep.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
That's how I feel every night, closing my eyes.
Be you.
Is
and do it.
someone watching me
Oh,
right now?
Yeah, that too. Is someone looking at you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Steph. So that was your first job. What would you say is the worst job you've ever had?
Ooh, I would say
Felt that.
there's two. There's
Mhm.
two. One of them was a contracted job where I only got hired for the weekend as a host.
Okay.
Okay.
And that was a nightmare. That one was a disaster. And I'll get to that one. And then another one was a job I had for probably 2 years that I should have probably quit the year before.
Yeah.
I probably
yeah.
should have said F this place like
Mhm.
a year before that.
Yeah.
So the one job I was contracted for a year, it was a kid's stage. Someone hired me. I MC a lot of events and they said, hey, we want to hire you to MC this weekend. It's a festival Friday through Sunday. I said, no problem. I was so used to it that it was not a big deal. It was like, yeah, that's cake. It's easy money.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I worked my tail off. So it was a kid stage. Never had MC'd a kid stage before. It was a kid stage that they basically booked everyone for half-hour slots. And I don't know if you've ever seen little kids perform. They perform for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If that.
Uh-huh.
And so
Yeah,
they
they're
booked
lame.
all these acts for half an hour.
Yeah.
So then we had like 20-minute, 30-minute increments. And then I ended up with like 20-minute windows of fill time.
Oh
So
my
then
God.
it was horrendous. I was struggling so much because I literally was using up all my energy to entertain all the audience that was there so they wouldn't leave. So I became a clown, a DJ, and
Yeah, you learned
everything.
magic on the side or whatever.
I basically, it was so bad that we had, I had a 20-minute window between like almost every act. I ended up having freeze dance with all the kids up on stage, which I don't know if you've ever played with kids. It's exhausting. It takes a lot of energy because their attention span, it's like I'm checked out if I'm not engaged or entertained. So I am trying to entertain everyone, adults, children, teenagers, everything under the sun, trying to keep them like, stay here, don't leave this stage, this area, it's just going to get better. And so I was like giving away prizes. I was like going to all the food stands that were at this event saying like, hey, could you give me a free ice cream to give away? Hey, could you give me this? And they're like, okay, yeah. So I'm entertaining. I'm running around. Like I ended up having like, we became a clown. I was like, I want to welcome everybody to my zoo. And I had all the little kids be an animal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and do that kind of a thing. And it was entertaining. I was so fried. I got home and I was laying down, staring at a television that wasn't on, not realizing it wasn't on. And like my guy goes, yo, do you want me to turn on the TV for you? I said, I didn't even realize the television wasn't on. And I thought I thought I was asleep. And I was just wide awake, but my body was dead because I had been performing at my maximum level from the hours of 10 a.m. till 7 p.m. And I was done for. I was fried and I had to do it all over again the next day. And it was a nightmare. It was so exhausting.
So you're having to scramble on that first day, probably choosing kids, you like YouTube box or whatever, but you're doing whatever you got to do to get them to like, but by the end, do you have your own routine? Like,
After
are you
2
picking
years.
up how to like, okay, now I know how to hold them between.
Oh yeah. I became an MC. I started getting hired as an MC and as a host because many times being a performer, shit goes wrong. Power goes out, strings get busted, something happens, a generator blows, whatever. You end up having to fill time no matter what. Or I would have it where there would be dead silence between my team setting up and whoever was taking down. And there was silence. So I would basically get on the mic to not lose the audience and be like, hey, how's it going? So I became really good at it. So that's how I started getting jobs like this, where I'd get hired by festivals to come and entertain. And there's been some festivals that are questionable. It's like, why did I get hired for this?
Of course.
And there was festivals like that one was the worst one where I was exhausted beyond compare. I've never been that exhausted in my life, where I hated everyone by the end of the day. I was like, I don't want to see parents, grandparents, or children for like a week because I'm exhausted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I definitely feel that.
So question, you speak about, I want the people to stay. And if I were in your shoes, I would want the same thing because I'm going to be there all day. I might as well have a fucking audience. but what, I mean, you also could have just, another person in your position could have just said, fuck it. And just like, let him go. And were there consequences if that was the case?
I ended up doing that at one point. I was like, we're going to take a 30-minute break.
Yeah.
And everybody cleared out. And they're like, no, we need to keep them entertained. It's like, okay, yeah, I could do that for how long? Like let's be real. Yeah. I've already done freeze dance. I've already done this. I've done a modeling show here. Like
I did 6 backflips. What do you want?
I was like, basically that's what it came down to. It's like, I have been flipping, juggling, dancing, like a dumb bear for like the past, X amount of hours. And let's be real. And so it's one of those things where it's because then when you come back, you're like, all right, let's come back.
I'm sorry. I was going to try to come up with like some improv stuff, but you saying dancing like a dumb bear is funny.
It's true.
I did the dumb bear routine. All right, I did it.
I was just doing a dumb bear routine. I was.
I guess like I don't know, maybe, but like you talk about going backstage, and then somebody's like, "Go back out there." Like, who are these people that are like egging you on?
It's
like
the people
like
that were in charge. And the thing is, like, you deal with so much because I've been a stage manager where you're managing everyone checking in, men not going in the women's dressing room, performers not taking over the entire dressing room that was made for all the groups of females, kind of thing. So you're like a referee and a circus wrangler at the same time. Like it's exhausting. And so there's moments you have to just be like, you know what? C'est la vie. It's going to go how it's going to go. We're just going to go with the flow. And then there's other moments you're like, shit, okay, now I have to get to work. And so being able to fill those time slots, because you don't want to lose the audience, because then the next performer that comes in has nobody.
Has nobody.
And
right.
Has nobody.
Because they're a child.
And they're sad. and you're like, shit. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Let me do what I could do. And so it's been exhausting. I mean, I've done events where you wing it, like literally winging it, like you wouldn't imagine.
Yeah. Well, did they ever consider just changing the slots?
Once it's done, it's done. It's really hard to turn around.
No, yeah, I guess what I'm saying is,
and say, hey, we told you 4, show up at 3.
Yeah, that's fair. What I'm saying is, you said that you did this for 2 years? You did.
No, I did another
this was the
job
weekend
for
gig.
2 years. This was the weekend contracted gig.
This is the weekend contracted gig. Okay, Jesus. Got it. Oh, no, yeah, you're fucked. If the weekend has begun and you've got 2 more days, like that's it. You're done.
Yeah. And you're right. It's a gross overestimation of how much their kids can do. And honestly, you have a 7-year-old or whatever. Have you conditioned your 7-year-old to perform for 30 minutes straight?
Yeah, to sing for 30 minutes.
That's child abuse. At that point, it's like, a couple songs, maybe that's it. That's all they, that's all
or
they can do.
Or even dance routines.
Should do. Yeah.
Even dance routine. One song is figure 3.5 minutes. One song. You're talking about maybe 10 songs. We'll say 8. 8 songs of performance. Like, how much of that have you really, like, if you've been to ever like a little kids play in general?
Right. Yeah.
Little 8 performances. 8 performances. Think of that. 8 songs being sung. And most of the time little kids sing 2 minutes.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That's it. They sing 2 minutes. So it's exhausting. It's a lot of work. So I was just like, who the hell scheduled this? And it was whoever scheduled it didn't really ask them like, hey, how much time, like tell me exactly how many,
have you
whatever.
ever met a kid before? Yeah. we're opening
It was a
to
lot.
kid stage. Do you know any children? Because I've clearly never met them in my life.
Yeah. It's like you ever watched a kid perform? Not exactly Metallica up there. Okay.
Well, the thing is, like, you know, there's like festivals that are organized around like national touring adult acts that are 30-minute sets, you know,
Exactly.
like back when Warped Tour was a thing.
I was going to say a Warped Tour.
30-minute sets for like My Chemical Romance, you know?
Exactly. They most of the time it was something like 20 minutes.
Yeah,
like a 20-minute set
load in,
in between each one. And that was like Weenie Roast, Warped Tour, like all of those. It was.
We're going to do Weezer for 19 minutes.
And then we're going to have this little kid, Barry, come up and he's going to just go as long as he can.
He's got a stand-up routine about how women be different than men.
Or even acoustic performances. Acoustic performances take so much work. It's so exhausting. Like being a performer.
Candles. Yeah.
All the candles.
All the candles.
What kind of romantic performances do you think I'm doing, man?
I don't know if it was like a Nirvana unplugged thing. I don't know.
So any unplugged performance, like I think when they did Acoustic Christmas, each performance was like 3 songs, maybe 4.
Right,
exactly.
Because acoustic performances take way more energy because you are the energy. It's exhausting. It's so much work. It is.
Tell a little story before each song, you know?
Pretty much.
This is about how I used to be in 5th grade last year, and this year I'm in 6th grade.
It's called Changes.
Oh my god!
This is about the bus. I don't like it too much.
You said you had the job you were at.
For 2 years. The 2 years.
What is this job?
So I was at a job for 2 years. Now I went from extremes of working with all men, all boys, to working with all women. And so I was at this one gym. It was my first time teaching women. First time. So I was kind of learning the lay of the land. So I was teaching at this women's gym, and teaching boys is very different. Boys, it's like drill sergeant, like you could do better, keep going. Like it's a very different mentality when you're coaching versus with women. You're like, that looks fantastic. You know, you should be so proud of yourself. Let's do it again. Like, oh my, you have to compliment the growth to inspire a woman to keep going and make them feel, and especially these were older women. And so you're seeing them struggle because they've never done a push-up. They've never done whatever. And it was being able to see the joy on their face. It was like, oh, okay. Very different atmosphere where it's like, you can't criticize, and it's learning how to choose your words carefully because you can really break someone's spirit by even the smallest criticism.
They've been yelled at before.
So,
you know,
and so you're just like, okay, versus the boys was a whole different ball game. And so I'm at this gym and I had women, and the owner was neurotic, where I had to clean before and after for myself when they did hire a receptionist on their own to do all this crap. You couldn't, like, every little thing, you can't do this, you can't do that. And then she would tell me, like, oh, by the way, this student, when they come in, make sure they don't do this and make sure this student doesn't do that. And these are all grown women. So you're just like, what? Like, I'm not going to sit there and nitpick over something really stupid. Like, hey, don't put your shoes there. Like, over something really stupid. And then also the other thing was I was making the drive all the way. I was doing like about a 30-minute drive every single time I had to teach. And so I was doing a 30-minute drive, and her thing was you had people that were paying a membership of, you know, whatever, 10 classes kind of thing, whatever you pay for in a gym,
like a little pass
different, either 10 class package or a full month.
Got it.
And if there was only one student, you had to shut down the classroom. So I had to tell that one person who had to pay for valet parking, hey, by the way, you have to go home because you're the only one here.
That sucks.
So I then felt like the asshole saying, like, sorry, you know, you drove all this way. I know you're all dressed up to work out, but I can't teach you. So I would vouch for these students and be like, you know what? I had a friend of mine who had paid a membership, and I was like, yo, can you show up? And she lived down the street, and she was like, do I need to just sign me in? She's like, I'm going to sign myself in. So she would sign herself in to show that there was 2 students when I had like a super, super early class, which I didn't mind. I'm like, I drove 30 minutes to be here.
Bro, discover upon arrival. Like, I understand if it's an online thing and maybe you can cancel 30 minutes in advance or something, but like to be on site already is bullshit.
On site already. And it was whoever showed up.
Like, how do you expect customers to trust you anyway?
So at first it was one. At first it came to the rule of 2. There has to be 2 or more. And then it was like, oh, no. Like 3 or more. Sorry, it was 3 or more. And it was like, you can't do that. You can't do that.
How do you build a schedule?
And then it was 2 or more. How do you build a fucking schedule? Yeah. And so I was becoming becoming the jerk. Basically, every time I taught, I was like, give me a minute. Like but it also became because I started vouching for them and having my friend who bought a membership and would basically sign herself in. I was able to teach them, like, listen, just don't say anything. I'll teach you because you drove all this way. Like, I had one student that drove all the way from Torrance just to attend my class. And I was like, dude, you drove an hour.
Yeah, like, how uniquely insulting.
I am not going to do that to you. And so I stayed there for 2 years, and I probably should have.
Steph? Oh, shit.
That because I was still learning women. This is kind of fun. I hear you guys.
Wait. Oh yeah, sorry.
You're good. Just restart. Cut out. I stayed there for 2 years. That's all. You're good.
Oh yeah, I stayed there for 2 years, and I sucked it up because I really enjoyed the students and I really enjoyed their growth, and they were really. It was rewarding, but I was dealing with so much, I don't want to say abuse from the owner because the owner was just a neurotic, crazy person.
Right.
So it was like, I gotta get out of here. Like, I gotta get the hell out of here.
No,
finally when I was
just say, I think,
I finally just said like, bye.
For sure. Yeah. No, I think that's something that like, kind of like by hook or by crook, those types of owners or managers or whatever kind of like prey on that a little bit. Because it's just like, okay, well, you'll just put up with the shit, and I think especially in Los Angeles or New York or kind of any like city that's got like a scene for something else that people actually want to do, your workers will just put up with shit, So I think that's probably, you seem like a passionate person. So that clicked into that part of you to like, no, but I got to do right because I'm trying to
do right by these people. Yeah, no, right, I think a lot of businesses rely on not in any way engendering respect or trust from their employees, but just that the employees care any amount about the work that they're doing.
Oh, for sure. 100%. And the thing is, like, like how I was saying before, like being an entertainer, being an artist, one of the things that you end up doing is you'll take shitty jobs. Like I've taken shitty jobs where I've responded to those Craigslist ads where it's like, should I have responded to that? Like, I probably should have been like, red flag, Stefni Valencia. What the hell are you doing? And dealt with those creepers, dealt with those situations where you feel like I said, you feel like a prostitute. You don't believe in the project. It's not really doing anything for you, but you're like, I will do anything for a break. Like you, as an artist, you start to feel like that. I guarantee you've had actors are like, I worked in the worst film I've ever worked in because they're like, I just need any opportunity I can get that they'll do the shittiest of things or something they're like, why am I here? And hating life. Like I've written songs for projects I didn't believe in at all with people that I was like, this guy is a creep. Like, and I basically was like, listen, I will write you a song. I'll send it your way. And, or because again, I was desperate. I was like, but then you had to get to that point where it's like, you know what? I know my value. I know my worth. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this shit anymore.
Whole thesis of this podcast, really.
Right. 100%.
Dang. So how long were you? So you did it for 2 years. I guess we always have 3 questions we always ask before to kind of like wrap things up, make sure we covered everything. So, so question number 1 that we always ask for this boxing gym place, when were you done and how did you quit? Like, when did you know I got to get out of here? Like when did you make that decision? And then when did you actually do it, or how did you actually do it?
I ran out of time. I just had no time. I got really busy doing doing other stuff. And that's how I had to leave. It was like, I can't teach anymore. You know, I could only teach 1 day a week, and I loved it. And then the owner died. And so then I was like, I'm out. Yeah. The owner died, who I loved, was near and dear to my heart. And I was like, all right, I'm done. Like, that is my cue to like exit. Yeah. And so, I wasn't going to go and work for the new owners. I was like, no, I'm good. I'm already getting so busy. I'm already limited on time. So that's why I left. Yeah. And then, it was just time. It was just time. Yeah. And it was only part-time. So
it's like they don't give a shit. They're like, thank you. If best case scenario, they said thank you, and that was it.
Yeah, they did.
Okay, question number 2 would you say is one good thing you took from that bad job? And you can include the child performance nightmare. Either one, a good thing you took.
I think the one thing I took from any terrible experience, any terrible gig, because there's been some horrible gigs I've taken from Craigslist, like working with some questionable people, and y'all know who you are.
Friends of the pod, they love listening every week. When is Stefni going to be on?
Right, when was you have to recognize your value. You have to recognize your value. And like I said, you have to stop being a prostitute. It comes to that point of like, in this industry, is you can't be desperate. You have to recognize your value and really not be afraid to say, I deserve this.
Sure.
And because I've definitely have done those gigs where it's like, what the hell am I doing? Like this is not worth my time, not worth the money. And so I feel that every person out there, don't feel that you're going to get on some blacklist, because as artists, we're always afraid. It's like, oh, this industry is large, but at the same time, it's a very small world where everybody knows everybody, like one big Mexican family where we all are related. I feel like is one thing is to think about is that you will make a name for yourself. The professional people that really want to work with you, they will find you, they will work with you and have them make their own damn opinion about you, not have somebody else be influencing them. If they're listening to somebody else who you already don't respect, who you already don't value or whatever, your work ethic's going to speak for itself.
Sure.
And I've had people turn around and say, hey, like, what I heard this or that about this owner, and I knew off the bat that it was all a lie because I know you personally. I've worked with you before and I know that's not who you are. And I was like, oh, well, thank you. Because I'm not that person. I'm not a shit talker. I'm not going to sit there and be like, don't go to this place. They're on my blacklist.
But I was going to.
But I feel that, you have to not be afraid. I think that's the big one is you can't be afraid that no one's ever going to work with you ever again because you had one bad experience.
Yeah. And if you want to have more bad experiences, plenty of people will work with you over and over.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's an important point because it's like, you're like, oh, I'm having such a bad time. And if I say no to this, I'll never have another thing. It's like, well, you'll have another one of these shitty things. Easy, and the good stuff, sometimes it's a numbers game and sometimes it's who you know, but yeah, that's
and that's the thing. It's not about who you know, it's about who knows you, right. And who's gonna vouch and who's gonna vouch for you. Yeah. But it's so true. Like you have to think about it like that because I know people that are sticking around, they've stuck with the same job, they're miserable with what they're doing, and they've been at it for 5 years, and they're like, yeah, but one of these days I'm gonna get my shot. And if I leave now, I'm never gonna get my shot. It's like they should have given you your shot.
They already know you.
They already know you. They should.
And in fact, they know that they can keep. The thing that they now know about you is that they can keep you in this pocket without changing it.
Exactly.
Dang. Stefni. Okay. Question number 3, not related to those bad jobs. Just a sort of general check-in. We've had a bit of a pandemic. It's sort of over. Couldn't tell you. But how have you been? How are you doing? It's an open-ended thing.
I'm doing well. I think during the pandemic, one thing I learned about myself was I needed to spend time with myself. I am a person that's such a go-getter. I'm such a fire. I tell people, I always feel like I'm that racehorse in the stables. That's like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Yeah. And I have to be busy. I have to be on the run. I have to be like, busy means productive and successful. And I realized during the pandemic that that's not the same thing. It's not true. Right. I had to appreciate the opportunities that I had, live more in every opportunity I was given, and not focus on, am I busy? Because if you so focus on those minutes that you're not busy as a fail or as you being unsuccessful, you're not valuing yourself, because busy does not mean successful. Right. And rest is important. And that's me being an insomniac, me being a person that's like was used to performing every weekend and all those things. It was hard at first, but then I realized it's like, you know what? How much have you actually spent in your own bed? Like, how much time have you actually spent in your own bed? Like enjoying your space, enjoy it, because there's people that don't have that. Yeah. So I had to like be very mindful about those things. And I learned to adapt. I learned to do a lot of Zoom stuff. Again, haven't mastered it clearly. But I definitely learned to adapt, and I had opportunities presented to me because I was still being productive, that I then valued every opportunity even more. Right. So I looked at the pandemic as a way for me to adapt and to grow.
Incredible. Well, Stefni, it's been very enjoyable and illuminating.
Really good time.
Where can people find you on the internet?
Guys.
If you'd like to be found.
Stefni Valencia. Type my name in correctly and you'll find me. Stefni Valencia. They can catch me on Instagram there, my YouTube channel there, and pretty much anywhere.
And you don't have to type it. It'll be in the show notes. So just like swipe up if you're on a podcasting app and just boom, 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 click it. You don't have to spell anything. Those will be there. Thank you so much for joining us, Stefni.
Of course.
As I said, a real pleasure. And in the meantime, fuck this place.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for listening. If you had a good time, don't forget to subscribe, rate the podcast, leave a review, 5 stars, 4 stars. You can give less stars, but don't do that. I mean, you can, but just text us. It's 470-223-5627. That's 470-223-5627. You can just let it out, Get mean. We're here for you. Okay, that's it. Bye for now. Fuck this place.